Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Caroline's Table. Today we're talking about toxins, and we're talking about glyphosate, which is a big one that we really have to deal with in the United States of America, particularly. There was a landmark ruling that happened last week that I wanted to talk to you about. So in a week where we will be celebrating America, because I love my country and I love all the things that, all the privileges that I have from being born in this country. But today I'm a little pissed off. I got to tell you, I am a little bit pissed off. So here we are at Caroline's Table, and I want to talk about some serious issues from toxins. And there's a big difference depending on which country you live in, how many toxins are available in your food supply, in your water supply, in the air, etc. So I'm going to let a few of you jump on. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining me. I have my coffee. I'm ready to chat. And one thing that I really like about this new format that we have is that I can talk about anything I want today because I'm not selling a product that has to do with the topic that I'm discussing. And I feel so strongly about what is happening with the toxic chemicals that are being used in our country so freely, so, all in the name of making sure that we can have more yield in our crops and people can make, more money from our food. But our food supply is toxic. Our food supply is toxic in America. And most of us don't have the information about how to work around it. So let's jump into this. I'm Caroline Summers. We gather on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock Pacific time, and we gather around the table and we chat. So what I want to talk about today, and I have a lot of notes pulled up because it is an important topic. So last week on June 25th, the Supreme Court sided with Monsanto, which is a huge chemical corporation, that they did not have to put cancer warnings on pesticide labels. And the reason that they did that is because Monsanto has paid billions in lawsuits to people who have had cancer and blame these chemicals. And the Supreme Court of the United States decided that no, they do not have to put these warnings on these chemical products that are giving people cancer because there is a federal law that protects the pesticide and herbicide people. I'm so pissed off about this. I mean, I'm the fact that we have to live in a world where these chemicals exist and all of us are trying to dodge and weave around it. I try to eat organic whenever I can. The fact that now it's gone all the way to the Supreme Court to say that you can't sue the company if you end up getting cancer from these products. And it's very, very, very sad. And I'm going to say this is not a partisan issue. There has not been one administration that has stood up to Monsanto. That is how powerful they are. So a lot of you know this, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to repeat what the issue is. Monsanto is the company that produces glyphosate. Glyphosate is a huge pesticide that is used in a lot of our food. And the reason they use glyphosate is that it's really powerful at killing pesticides that really are harmful to crops. So they spray this on our crops and then you have less bugs. So you have a bigger yield, which is good for farmers. What's not good is what glyphosate does to the human body. So you know what they say? They say, well, it's just a little bit. No, it's safe for humans. it became so effective that what they started doing was creating Roundup ready crops. So particularly the ones you really have to watch out for are corn, wheat, soy, canola. So what they started doing was they found that, let's say a mosquito tries to eat the corn. If the corn had Roundup on it, the insect's intestines would burst and it would die. So they were like, hey, this really works. Well, they went into a genetically modified version of corn and they grew the Roundup into the seed. So they genetically modified the seed with this chemical pesticide. And now when the corn grows, guess what? The bugs don't eat it, because if they eat it, their intestines explode and they die. So this became very helpful for growing corn. You guys, you must know how many of our foods have corn in them. We have corn in so many things, in processed foods and packaged foods, besides the fact that I love corn. I just love to eat corn. It is so hard to find organic corn. It is almost impossible to find organic corn now. So the one place that I see it is frozen. You can sometimes find frozen corn. So what happens with this new corn is, the bugs eat it and they eat that Roundup ready corn. Their intestines explode, so they learn not to eat the corn. Also happens with soybeans. You guys know when soy first came out, this is the healthiest thing you can eat. Soy is so healthy. Soy, soy, soy. Well, this is why the Japanese are so healthy. They eat so much soy. If you eat a soy base, well, don't eat meat, eat soy, all of that. Well, the soy, that was a big marketing campaign, because guess what? These big chemical companies were growing their pesticides into the soy. If they can sell more seeds, if they can grow more soy, if we're all eating more soy, it's healthy for us, not healthy for us when it has this known carcinogenic pesticide in it. It infuriates me. Now, some of us can handle these chemicals in our system more than others. I have always eaten pretty well, but not exclusively organic. I didn't know about this stuff when I was younger. None of us really did until, there were like some very California granola people who would talk about eating organic. When my children, my perfectly healthy, active, slim children, got to be around, 11 or 12, 13, their little faces started getting puffy. They started getting inflamed. And these were, kids who were eating healthy. I wasn't a big packaged food person. I cook most of their meals. Certainly they're getting, normal American food when they were out and about. But for the most part, they were eating pretty well. They were exercising. They both had dance class 2 to 3 hours a day. And this puffiness began. And my older daughter, Camellia, who, listen, she's always been slim, healthy, muscular, active. She had a layer on her that made no sense, and it would come and go. It would look like she put on 10 to 15 pounds. And, for a preteen or a teenager, this is horrifying, right? And I remember we started trying to rotate things in her diet, and Suzanne was helping me find solutions. And we were out there, looking for whatever we could to help her. I remember the day she had a stomach bug and she couldn't eat any food for a couple of days. And she looked at me. She looked down at her body and she was like, Mom, look at me. Look at my jaw. Look at she was her normal, slim, normal body. She was allergic to food, all food. How? She said, I'm literally allergic to everything I eat. So we did all the allergy tests. Okay, you're allergic to gluten, dairy, eggs, and a whole host of other things. It seemed like everything she ate was on this list. I remember the morning I was making crepes, because I was the mom who made crepes. If you had a sleepover at our house, I was the mom who made crepes. And I made crepes for her, and I remember it was her favorite thing. How great to have your friends over and you're in your PJs And I'm mixing flour, which is the wheat, milk, she couldn't have dairy anymore, eggs, she was allergic to dairy, and sugar, her favorite thing. Here I am mixing her crepes, and I thought to myself, this is the last time that I will be able to give her this food, because now she's intolerant to all of it. She was intolerant to all food. She was intolerant to the chemicals in the food. And I saw a documentary, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go back and watch Food Inc. It was, what year was Food Inc? Hold on. 2010. And I watched this documentary about the path that these toxins take on the human body, and all of the things that that we use to improve our yield, to make our chickens bigger, to make our pork better, to make our wheat fields, all of it, all the chemicals that are used on the food that were, yes, corn and rice, just as bad. They're all horrible. And I watched as they showed this insect eating a Roundup Ready corn. And I'll never forget they said, well, what happens with the, they started showing these bloated faces of the testing that they had done on glyphosate and they showed these bloated, I was like, oh my God, that's what happened to my kid. And then they showed the insects with their intestines exploding. That's what happened to my children. Their little guts, and you guys have heard me talk about leaky gut, but again, I was usually selling a product about gut health, so I wasn't able to get in as much detail. Their little guts were exploding from exposure to these chemicals. I know, do I have actual proof? I don't have proof, but you can put the dots together, you guys. If you do the research, you can put the dots together. This is why so many people in this country can't eat gluten. Are you all allergic to gluten? Or are you allergic, or are you not tolerating the chemical that we spray on our wheat crops? 2 weeks before harvest, they spray glyphosate all over the wheat. They spray it all over the wheat because it makes the yield last longer. It is all about the money. How do we make more money? I want farmers to make money. Of course I do, but not at the expense of toxicity in our food supply that is literally killing us. So we've talked about, obviously the rise in diabetes and obesity, etc. Now we have GLPs that are helping with the obesity, but you guys, the food supply is terrifying. So when I come to you with things like meat that comes from steer that graze on grass, this is what cows are supposed to do. They're supposed to graze on grass. They're not supposed to eat corn. And guess what kind of corn they're eating? They're eating the corn that is Roundup Ready, that has this chemical in it. So the corn, the cows are eating this, the chickens are eating it, the pigs are eating it, and then we eat it. But it's just a little bit of poison, right? It's just a little bit of poison. But the EPA has tested it, and they've said it's safe for human consumption. Guess what? It was not safe for my kids. It was not safe for my kids. So part of this has to do, you guys have heard me talk about the HLA gene. The HLA gene is the mold gene. And about 25% of us have this mold gene. It is most common from Northern European descendants. So Suzanne had it, Bruce had it, my girls have it. I eat pretty much what they eat. I did not have an issue. My girls got horrible leaky gut. It got to the point where Camellia was not absorbing any nutrients. So we went to an amazing doctor at the time who was Jonathan Wright, Dr. Jonathan Wright, who was really an expert in this many years before it was common or more common knowledge. Some of you guys are having a freezing issue. I hope that's okay. I'll have Bruce check my internet. Bruce, are you on? Can you check my Wi-Fi, honey? Hold on. Command Central here. Let me just see if my Instagram comes back. Tell me if you guys are back on Instagram. Thank you, Heidi. Try hopping out and coming back in, because sometimes the okay, Facebook is fine. Hi, I'm in the middle of my rant. Okay, Instagram, are we back? I love it when my friends start talking to each other. Nancy and Heidi, look at you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the HLA gene. For those of you who have the HLA gene, which is about 25% of us, you're more sensitive. Wait, are we still frozen? Shoot, guys. Yes, it's the mold gene, Lori. The HLA gene is the mold gene. Okay, so for those of you who have the HLA gene, and you may not know that you carry it, you're more sensitive to everything. You're more sensitive to the toxins in food, the toxins in the air, the EPA is freezing her. It could be. Here comes my hot IT guy. Hang on, guys. Hot IT is on the way. Oh my God, the video ended. Shit.
It was freezing.
Yeah, let's start it again. Sorry, Facebook. Hang on, Okay, let's see if we get it back here. Instagram, we're back. Facebook, hello. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we were talking about the HLA gene and your increased...
Where you froze was right when you were saying the glyphosate, but it's just a little bit.
Oh, okay, yeah. So your HLA gene, this is for those who have it. You are much more susceptible to chemical exposure. Chemicals in your food, chemicals in the air, chemicals in the water, all of it. Like I said, I didn't have a problem tolerating these things. I didn't have a problem tolerating the mold that I didn't know was in my house. I didn't have a problem eating, the occasional non-organic foods. My children did. My children had a big problem with it. And so bad that Camellia would get so inflamed. I remember looking at her legs. She was laying in bed and her calves were so swollen. And I'm trying not to go, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Because she was so devastated. But I looked at her and I just made a promise. I'm like, I am not going to give up on figuring out what is wrong with you, because she had given up all those foods, guys. She had given up gluten, dairy, eggs. She had given up she could not figure it out. And then Violet, as you know, Violet ended up with Lyme disease and got bitten by a Lyme tick, had an immediate target, one of those bullseyes that you could see right on her leg. She was on a vacation with a friend, and the mom called me and she said, I don't know how this happened. They took her to the doctor, and even all of my integrative doctors said, don't mess with Lyme. Give her a full course of antibiotics. This is really serious. So we caught it immediately. She took the full course of antibiotics. It did nothing. That kid went down. She went down, and it was months and months and months of, when I tell you I had Camellia, who was inflamed and anxious and, going a little cuckoo. And it's like, is she just a teenager? Is she just gaining a little weight because she's pubescent? No, it was chemical. It was chemically based. And I really tried to work around it. I so hard to do to a kid. You can't go to a party. You can't eat the pizza. You can't have the milkshake. You can't. It was very difficult. But Violet was super compliant. Camellia would try to find, certain things. It's like, I can eat hot tamales. She would try to find certain things that would be not on her forbidden list. And Violet, after she got the Lyme disease, the opposite of anxious. She became depressed, listless, brain fog, could not function, couldn't get out of bed in the morning. I was like, what is going on? So when we finally, after months and months and months and several rounds of local doctors trying to figure things out, we finally found a clinic in Florida that he dug into the issues with her Lyme disease. And he's like, this isn't just Lyme, it is mold toxicity. And he said, 85% of my patients who have Lyme disease carry the mold gene. So what does that mean? How do they run neck and neck? It's that the people with the mold gene are more susceptible to the effects of the Lyme disease. So I may have been bit by a tick. I may be carrying Lyme, but I might not have any symptoms from it. Some of us carry these things and we don't have symptoms. But the ones with the HLA gene, as Suzanne used to say, they're the canaries in the coal mine. They feel the symptoms first. So Violet, he said her gut is destroyed. He said her gut is absolutely destroyed. And he said, I have to fix the gut before I can treat the rest of it, because this is the most critical. She's not getting any nutrition. And that is what Dr. Wright also said about Camellia. He said she's eating protein. She's not absorbing any protein because she has leaks in her gut. So your gut, you have a long digestive tract, and it's incredibly thin. The cell membrane is so thin. What happens from the glyphosate and processed foods and things that are eating away at our guts is you end up with leaky gut. So you get these tiny perforations in your gut. So as that food passes through, instead of passing through and digesting and your body pulls out the nutrients it needs and then it discards the rest, what happens is that it seeps through your gut, leaky gut, into your bloodstream. And when it goes into your bloodstream, your body was like, oh, we have an invader, because this is unprocessed food. So your body starts saying, oh, we've got an invader here. And guess what it does? It creates inflammation. So that's where the swelling comes from. That's where my girls would feel like they would have a layer of bloat all over their bodies. It was inflammation. It was inflammation because when they would eat food, the food would go into their system and the undigested food would go into their bloodstream, which the body views as an intruder. So they bring out their big guns to go fight the intruder. Well, if your immune system's going to fight this intruder, which is just food, guess what the immune system is not doing? It's not protecting you from the normal viruses and bacteria that you deal with. I was so mad when I started digging into this. Watch the movie Food, Inc. That's your homework for this week. And it's dated at this point. That was like 2010. But it really, I remember when I saw those bugs and I saw their little intestines bursting, I burst into tears. Because I'm like, this is what happened to my children. And they're telling us that it's safe. And last week, the Supreme Court said, you're not allowed to make a lawsuit against Monsanto. It's also personal for me. The former president at Suzanne Summers' company was a very dear friend of mine for many, many years. And he was very fastidious in his yard. And his wife did not like any creepy crawlers, no bugs, no snakes, nothing. And every weekend, he would get his bottle of Roundup with that little spray bottle. And he would go out and he would cover the perimeter and make sure that no critters got to his beautiful wife. He treated her like a queen. And he ended up with multiple myeloma, which is one of the highest correlations with glyphosate is that type of cancer, multiple myeloma. And he died. He died a horrible, painful death. And his family deserves a payout for that. And can they prove it? I don't know. I don't know. But the fact that they don't even now won't even have the opportunity to bring that case to court, it is just the lobby for Monsanto is so strong. It is so strong. And there is not one administration that has been able to stand up. And a lot of people, you know, again, I'm not getting into politics here, but a lot of people said RFK is going to be our guy and he's going to get in there and he's going to do it. And, you know, Trump is rogue, so he's going to take them on. They fell just like the rest of them. They fell just like the rest of them. And again, like I'm saying, not partisan, not one administration has stood up to them. So, yeah, I'm a little pissed off today. I'm super pissed about this. I wish I had a solution for you. I don't have a solution for our food supply, except it's one of the main reasons that I want to move to Italy. Because guess what? In Italy and in France, they don't allow glyphosate. It's banned in the entire country. They don't allow it. Guess who does not want our corn, our wheat, our soy, all the other countries that know how damaging our food supply is? We're a joke. They look at us, they're like, no one wants your food. It's toxic. So yeah, it's money, Cheryl. It's money. The profit and the power that the lobby for Monsanto, which is owned by Bayer owns Monsanto. Monsanto, you might know some other great products that Monsanto has come out with. There was one, let's see, in the 70s called Agent Orange. Remember that one? That's Monsanto. You remember when we were kids and we would, they'd have malathion sprayings? Remember that? And they would say, oh, your car is going to get wrecked. This is something that they're saying is going to ruin the paint on your car. But it's okay for you because it's just a little bit of poison. I remember that. Malathion. Glyphosate. Now what they're doing, oh yeah, glyphosate on garbanzo beans? Absolutely. So you guys, when we talk about eating organic food, it makes me feel like I live in a bubble where I can stay protected. It's not, I mean, do you know that Monsanto, you're going to love this, organic corn farmer who's trying to grow organic corn that doesn't have glyphosate in it. Well, the non-organic corn is growing over here. The birds and the bees, as they pollinate, as they do in nature, carried that GMO corn that's Roundup ready, and they blew it into the organic corn. And guess what happened? The organic corn ends up getting some of that glyphosate in it. So guess what? Monsanto sued the organic corn farmer for taking their GMO glyphosate and having it in their organic corn. Make it make sense, guys. Make it make sense. So yeah, that's one of the big reasons I'd like to go to Italy, so that I don't have to worry about toxicity in my food. And, you could go down every industry here. We could go down every industry and talk about, a lot of people say to me when I'm selling meat, why don't you sell American meat? I would love to sell. I'm not looking at the products that I get based on what country. I'm looking at the cleanliness of the food. So I'm happy that Herd and Grace now has one American purveyor of grass-fed products, and it's out of Tennessee. So I'm happy about that. I would love to support an American farmer who's able to provide clean products. I'm just looking for clean. And listen, it's more important for me because of my particular family. But for any of us, it's like that toxic buildup. So the food part is difficult. I know you guys, we talked about this. Organic strawberries. We saw Driscoll's, who's one of the leading brands in organic strawberries. And strawberries are one of the foods that's on that dirty dozen. So when you're talking about the dirty dozen, there are certain foods that you really need to get organic. Apple and kale and berries and spinach. And I'll look up the full list for you. But definitely certain foods, it's like if you can't get it organic, just don't buy it because it's grown right into the food. And the organic strawberries came back with a list of all kinds of chemicals and, they're pesticides. They're just not the ones that count. There are some pesticides that you can use for organic that still allow you to call it organic. And listen, just came out with a whole big issue where the kids who live in the area where they grow the strawberries have an increased risk of cancer. I don't like the lack of information. So what can we do? We can inform ourselves. That's the first thing you can do. Read as much as you can. At least know what you're buying. At least decide if it's important to you or not. I have some friends that it's not an issue for them. They don't react to it. They don't have an issue with it. And I'm happy for you that you don't have an issue with it. I have other friends where it's the most important thing to them. So, one thing that helps at least with the airborne chemicals, we do have Wellness Air. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that today because we have our lowest price ever on Wellness Air. It's only this week. This is our 4th of July sale. America is turning 250 years old. We are offering this unit at $250. It is the lowest price ever for a single unit at Wellness Air. So if you use promo code USA250, you can get this unit at $250. So if you live on a golf course and they're spraying the grass with all those chemicals, this is where at least we can help with that because Wellness Air is the only unit in the entire category of air purifiers that works on the molecular level. If you have a HEPA filter, HEPA is great. It traps particles, but gases, invisible gases and invisible toxins go right through those filters. This is the only unit that destroys toxins on the molecular level. So I don't think it's any accident that Bruce and I were given this problem in life with our children and then came up with this solution. And it was presented to Bruce and he started talking to the manufacturers of this. He was like, oh my God, he knew everything about it. And they were like, you know so much about this product. Like, why don't you buy the company? He said, I don't do that. I'm in advertising. And they kept coming back to him. And sometimes I do believe in this journey that we're on, in this human body, in this beautiful world that we have. I think the challenges we are given are to learn and grow from them. And that is why I feel like we have Wellness Air in our team now. I wish I had a Wellness Air for our food, but this I at least have for the air. So if we can reduce our toxic load, there's so many toxins in our home. And I've talked to you guys about this all the time. There's off-gassing that comes from our furniture or our rug or our mattress. There is benzene that's coming in from the garage. Just when we pull into the house, it's the gasoline is off-gassing benzene. Our stoves are off-gassing. None of these things we're going to give up. I'm not going to, not have a rug or not, enjoy my couch. But all of these things are sprayed with chemicals for our safety, for fire retardant. Our mattresses are sprayed with fire retardant. And then we sit all night and we inhale fire retardant. Well, it's good that if there's a fire, our mattress isn't going to go up in flames, but not so good that we're sitting and breathing that. So this is a chance to, if you've been wanting a Wellis Air for your bedroom, it's less than half off. Bruce did not want to do this sale. He said, we're basically losing money at that point. And I said, I know, but there are a lot of people who can't get in at the regular price. And I love a good theme. And so it's 250th birthday. Can we just do a 250 unit? And he said, yes, we can do it for one day. And I said, it's not. We got to do it for at least 3 days. It's 4th of July weekend. And then I talked him into a week. So this is only good, $250 units with the promo code USA250. It's only good through Sunday, guys. Through Sunday, July 5th. It is so easy to use, Carolyn. All you do, look how small it is. It's like the size of a legal pad of paper. And all you have to do is just insert the cartridge back here. It's super easy to use. This is your VOC meter. This tells you what your toxic load is in the air in your home. If it's blue, it means your air is in the safe zone. My air is in the safe zone. If it goes to orange, it means you're 10% outside of the safe zone. And if it goes to red, you're more than 10%. This is constantly releasing hydroxyls into the air. So what are hydroxyls? Hydroxyls, this is how Mother Nature cleans the air outside. It's a molecule. It happens when the sun comes down and it hits water and it takes H2O and it breaks it into H and OH. So you have an H here and an OH here. That H is looking for another, that OH is looking for another H so that it can become water vapor. That's just the cycle of this molecule. So what it does is it goes out and it tries to steal an H from bacteria, viruses, mold spores, mycotoxins, VOCs like benzene, formaldehyde, odors, smoke, all of the things that we want to clear from the air. That's how nature does it outside. This product brings it inside your home and it distributes these perfectly healthy, wonderful hydroxyls into your indoor air, and it eliminates all the toxins. So go to wellisair.com. This is $250 when you use the promo code USA250. If you guys come to me next week and you say, can I get that $250 deal? I'm not going to be able to do it. I don't think he will ever go as low as $250 again, unless you're buying multiple units. So 1 unit, it is not sold out, Jerry. 1 unit, go to wellisair.com. Right on the homepage, you're going to click on the unit and you are going to use the promo code USA250 and this unit will be $250. I know so many of you who jumped in and got an extra one. We obviously do promos all the time. You guys see them all the time. We do a lot of advertising. You haven't seen me do a single unit at $250. That's only been like for 3 units, we'll go down to $250. So this is one way to help reduce your toxins. And Mama Bear is pissed off today. I'm pissed off about the toxins. But again, I do love my country, and what I'm doing in honor of my country's birthday is offering this at $250. So, whew. So what can we do as consumers? I mean, we do have to make a stand. We have to make a stand. There are so many groups who are fighting against Monsanto. It feels like an impossible battle, and That's the part of me that just says, I'm just going to move to Italy where they don't use this. But that makes me mad. It makes me mad that we're just not allowed to have healthy food here. It makes me mad that people don't care about it enough, that our government doesn't care about our health more than they care about the profits. And I'm surprised with the global market not wanting our goods for this reason, that they wouldn't care. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. A little bit pissed off. Shipping costs. It depends on where you live, Connie, but if you go to wellisair.com and fill out the form, you'll get a shipping estimate. Okay, guys, what else? What else do you want to tell me about? Hi, Bruce. My Bruce is watching. He's answering your questions. A lot of you are thinking about moving to Italy too. I know. The soccer players were laughing at our food and brought their own. Oh, the World Cup love. Okay, so shipping in the US is free, Bruce said. This story just keeps getting better, guys. Less than half off, the lowest price ever on a single unit, and it's free shipping. So go to wellisair.com if you're interested in that product. Do you have a Wellisair storefront? We do not, Rena. It's all it is all online. Glad you got it off your chest so you can create more clean products. Well, you guys know my mother-in-law was an absolute pioneer in trying to provide clean products for us and products that help with the effects of living in a toxic world. And I had a wonderful time creating all those products with her over 30 years. And listen, if you're still using those products, you have my blessing. They're great products. I don't have anything against it. And yes, today is Alan Hamill's birthday. He's 90 years old. So give it up for Alan. We saw him over the weekend. He had a lovely party, and we got to see the family, and he looks amazing. You know, it was probably 78 degrees on, and he had a turtleneck and a jacket. But you know, he loves it. The Wellisair covers 1,000 square feet per unit. You know, it's good to see everybody. All of the old friends came out, and Alan is amazing. I mean, the guy he's an enigma. He really looks great, and his son and grandsons threw the party, and they did a really nice job. We had nice food, nice bar, and it was lovely. And they made date shakes for him because Alan loves date shakes. There's a place right near Palm Springs, right when you're coming into Palm Springs, called Hadley's, and they sell dates there, and they have this famous date shake. So they made date shakes, and he's doing well. And his girlfriend is just lovely. She's a wonderful woman. So I had a nice chat with Joanna, and I didn't film it, Rebecca. I think someone was filming it, but you know, that was always me. I was turning everything into a live event because when I was working at the company, I knew how much you guys like to see that. But I'm not in charge anymore, so I'm not sure if they filmed it for. I'm not sure if they filmed it for everyone to see on the handle. Hi, Sandra. How are you? It's not about Alan allowing a quick video to say hello. It's about the people in charge doing it so that they include you guys. So, you know, that is not me anymore. So I went to the party, and you know what? I had a nice time. The food was good. The drinks were good. And it was great. And, yeah, no, I don't listen, I don't need you guys to, I know some of you are concerned about continuing, some of you want to continue using the products, or you guys, if you love those products, use those products. My girls both still work there, and their presentations are good. I know it's hard for a lot of you, especially on Facebook, who don't like that new format. And I don't have any control over it. Claire was saying, reasons for being upset is because of the damage. It's like fighting against ghosts. She's talking about glyphosate. I'm glad that your research worked for the girls. Keep those eyes wide open. Yes, thank you. My girls are healthy. My girls are really healthy and great. And they have figured out how to work around this toxicity so that they can live healthy, normal lives. They cannot eat gluten, dairy, or eggs still. Violet can eat a little dairy now. And now Violet is in Europe, and it's much easier for her to eat food. A lot of people say, why is it when I go to Italy, I can eat the bread, I can eat the pasta, and I don't feel the same as when I eat it it's the glyphosate. It might not be the wheat that's the issue. It might not be the gluten that is the issue. What happened to Heather Hall? I talked to Heather's manager at the party, who's the one who brought her in, and he said she had a 3-month contract, and that after the 3 months, she was not contacted to continue. And he said he hadn't been able to get in touch with anyone. So I haven't spoken to Heather, but Heather did a good job. I think that new format was hard for people to find the programming. So do you still use Suzanne Summers products? Many of them. And I am also, it's been fun to kind of explore new things, because obviously I've never needed to. I've just had all my products that I would create. When I had a problem, I would create something and it would provide a solution. But now I'm looking at new things, and I have a couple things that have been incredibly wonderful skincare products that I have loved. And Christine is talking about Membracin. So a lot of you jumped in on that. I'm starting to get my first testimonials back from people who are already feeling results. So I'm happy about that. But sometimes we come here and we just chat, and sometimes I'm here talking about a partnership on a product that I love, and sometimes I'm cooking with you guys, and I love that we have this opportunity and this exchange. So I owe another couple recipes on my Substack from last Thursday's show. We went right into a big shoot for Wellness Air. We had a house in Malibu, and Kirsten Lundquist came into town, who has been a spokesperson for us along with me and Bruce, and she's absolutely wonderful. God, is she a good woman. So we had a great time. We got a lot of work done in this beautiful house in Malibu. And now we're, back and getting on to back on our normal schedule here. So we're going to be in town for the next few weeks, and you know where to find me. Tuesdays here on Caroline's Table. Thursdays, we're going to be doing some cooking. So on Thursday, I believe I've decided what I'm going to make, and it is a spectacular dessert that is red, white, and blue, but really elevated and so delicious. And I've been wanting to make a version of this since Easter, but we were out of town for Easter. And then we kept being, out of town for times when it would make sense to make this dessert. So it's going to happen on Thursday. It's going to be a 4th of July celebration. You guys are the best. Thanks for joining me today. And again, if you are looking to jump in on Wellness Air, go to wellnessair.com and use your promo code USA250, and the units are $250. This is the lowest price ever. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.